Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello.
I always wait 2 minutes and yeah, we're all going to stay muted. There's going to be a lot of people. We're already up to 85. Um, we'll probably go over 100. Let's see here. And a lot of people hop on right at the top of the hour. So I'm going to wait 2 minutes and jibber jabber. So I want to hear who is going to see the eclipse, whether you live near it or type it in the chat, or and where, or you're traveling to see it. I'm actually going to be in Toronto, but I'm flying home the day before, and the weather, my friend I'm going to see there is like a science nerd. She's able to, I wouldn't know how to do this, look up the weather for the history of the weather on April 8th in Toronto is not good. So I was considering extending, and no offense to anyone in Toronto. I was thinking if it was like a pretty good chance I would see it, I might change my flight, but haven't done it. New Jersey, New Mexico, in your backyard. Cool. Dayton, Milwaukee, Hope 2 from Pennsylvania. Going to Dallas from Seattle. Oh, exciting. Yeah, I have a friend who's flying to Cleveland. I know a lot of people are trekking around. Okay, I can't keep track with all of these. Sorry. We're going to get started because now here it is, 12:02. So welcome. We're going to make the solar eclipse card, but first I'm just going to spend about 10 minutes telling you about the paper year, which this is, I do a free workshop like this every quarter when registration is open for my membership. So I just going to talk about it quickly and then we'll get to making. And yeah, just stay muted. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. My friend Lori is here. She'll be monitoring that. And this meeting is being recorded. If you have to step away for any reason, since you signed up, you will receive the recording. Okay, and if you have any questions as I'm going about the paper year, just type them into the chat. I'll answer questions right after that presentation. Oh, I forgot to. Okay, hang on. Sorry, I forgot to cue it up correctly. And now, there we go. My mouse sometimes doesn't work. Okay, so here's what we're making on the left and a sneak peek at what's happening in the paper year coming up. And again, there we go. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Helen Hiebert, and I run a papermaking studio high up in Colorado's Rocky Mountains, near Vail and Beaver Creek ski resorts in a tiny hamlet called Red Cliff. Only less than 300 people live there. My artwork consists of installations like the one you saw behind me on that Zoom screen, and that's called the Hydrogen Bond, and artist books like these. I like to explore paper and book techniques and structures, and I incorporate my interest in knots and all sorts of connections, how we treat our planet, motherhood, and my journey around the sun in these books. I also have a fondness for alphabets and language. I hold 2 papermaking master classes, one in May and one in July, in my studio for those who want to take a deep dive into papermaking, and an annual retreat every August. My 2024 sessions are full, but you can add your name to a list for 2025 if you'd like. My website link is in the chat. There are a bunch of links in the chat actually that you can take a look at, and I'll share those when I send the replay as well. In addition to making art, many of you know I have always been fascinated with paper as a material and the various ways it can be manipulated. So I spend a good deal of my time designing unique projects that I feature in my how-to books. I'm currently working on a book about paper weaving, which should be out in 2025. And these kinds of projects are also a focus of the paper year. So the paper year is my membership program. I started it in 2021 to inspire members with a new technique and project every month. In addition to gaining skills for working with paper, members enjoy being part of a generous and friendly paper-loving community. Many of us are also paper hoarders, and we're trying to use these papers in the projects and with the techniques. I see someone sitting in the waiting room. Can you let them in, Lori?
They're, they're,
Okay.
it's their end. Yeah.
All right. If you join the paper year now, you will gain access to a growing library filled with past projects. There are 40 projects in the library and counting, along with many other recorded events from the past 3 years. Here are a few highlights from the last couple of months. We made strip books in January, which involved connecting strips or shapes of paper in a variety of ways. Every quarter, we have a surface design workshop, which is a 2-hour live online workshop. Our most recent workshop was with Mindy Shapiro. I invite guest artists to teach these workshops. And she taught us how to make these layered paper cuts. Her cut is the Hamza on the left, and then you can see how members took the idea and technique in different directions. All of these Zoom events are recorded and posted for those who can't attend live. In February, we explored these springy-legged robots with guest artist Emily Martin. None of these look really that similar to what Emily showed us. So again, people take things in different directions, which I love. Every quarter, in addition to those surface design guest artists, I have a guest artist who designs a project for the group. And they also visit us for a Zoom meeting during that month to share more about their work. And so in March, we are currently exploring map folds, and we share what we're creating each month in an online community forum in Rizuku, which is the teaching platform that I use. So sometimes people ask me, do they have to be a Facebook user? No, we don't do anything on social media. I mean, people can post what they make if they want, but our classroom is a private community. So there are 2 ways to join the paper year. All of this is outlined on the registration page. Well, there's a link to that in the chat, along with a video about the paper year. But in brief, PDF subscribers pay $10 a month, and they get just that, a PDF with the instructions for the monthly project. And then all-in subscribers receive the PDF, video instructions, and a couple of monthly Zoom meetings. And that is $30 a month. And so you can pay by the month for either plan. And this is a subscription, so it automatically renews, but you can cancel at any time. You do lose access, though, if you cancel. But you can download the PDFs and have those forever. Here's an example of part of a monthly PDF. This gives you an idea of what the monthly videos look like. And as I've said, you will have access to a wonderful online community where we post photos of our work and provide supportive feedback. This is the Twisting Light, which is our April project. It will be posted in the classroom this coming Monday, April Fool's Day, no fooling. All in-plan members meet twice a month on Zoom. We often have a special guest at our Zoom meeting, like a guest artist, or every quarter I invite a paper supplier, and this is the homepage for Kozo Paper. It's a company in Thailand. If you can see at the top there, they ship free on orders over $99. And it's a young gentleman who is trying to make his mother's company more relevant in the 21st century. Not that it isn't. She does wholesale and he's doing retail. So I'm super excited to have him come visit us and tell us about his company. We also have a 2-hour monthly open studio Zoom session where you can carve out time to complete the monthly project, and we spend time getting to know each other and sharing other tips and tricks. So here's a quick peek at what we're doing in the second quarter. In April, we'll be making these twisting lights that I already showed. Our guest surface design workshop instructor is Beth Stockdale, who will introduce us to the Zentangle method. I'm sure some of you already practiced this. And Beth is a current member, but we have both members and non-members come visit us. And then Kit Davey, I know many of you know her as well. She's our guest artist for May, and she'll be showing us how to make this pop up and out book. She actually supplied me with the instructions. I create the PDF and video, and then she'll visit us and talk about her work. And this is a cool book structure. When you turn the pages, the card inside or series of cards pop out and are removable. In June, we're going to be exploring ways to weave strips of paper. Those of you who wove with me in my class, Weave Through Winter, I've discovered a few new techniques. And registration is open right now. You can sign up today, and it will be open through April 10th. So I hope that you'll join us as we continue to explore paper, which is such a versatile medium.
Helen,
So, yes.
there's a question in the chat. What time day are the live meetings for the paper year? Did you say that members have access to previous tutorials, and is that PDFs only or videos and PDFs too? So,
Okay, can you just stop the share? For some reason, I can't do that. Let me come on the screen.
sorry.
So yeah, I am going to answer questions now.
Okay. Yeah.
Tell me those again. And
Okay, the first part is what time and day are the live meetings for the paper year? And then I'll tell you part two.
Okay, this is all listed on the registration page. The Zoom monthly meetings are usually the first or second Thursday or Saturday. We alternate to try to accommodate as many people as possible at noon, my time, which is this time we're meeting right now. And then the open studios, which is a 2-hour just kind of get together, are towards the end of the month, usually the third Thursday or Friday. We alternate those as well. And then the surface design workshops have almost always been on Saturday. Okay, and both of those 10 to 12. Sometimes the surface design are 12 to 2. So it varies a little bit, but it's all specified on the registration page, and they're all recorded.
Mhm.
Okay, second part of that.
Just want to say, but in June, you will only have like a paper year meeting, one meeting, I think, because you're going to be traveling.
Yeah, so we won't have like twice a year, we don't have the open studio.
Okay.
And in June, we will have the supplier visit us though. So there's always a couple of
So
things happening.
two meetings.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Second part, did you say that members have access to previous tutorials, and is that PDFs only or videos and PDFs too?
It depends. It's two different websites you go to. So if you're a PDF member, you get the PDFs and you can access all of them from January of 2021. If you're an all-in member, you go to a different website and you have access to everything. So, and
Okay.
then if you quit, that's when you lose access. So everyone can I recommend, and you get a note when you sign up, that you download and or print out the PDF every month as you go, so that you just have those forever.
Can we pay by the various months as we are interested in various projects?
You could do that, but you'd have to be signing up and quitting. So that's my short answer. It's not really designed to do that, but you could sign up and quit, like you do with any kind of subscription online. Yeah.
And people want to know about the exhibit behind you.
Okay, this was like one of my very first installations. It was called the hydrogen bond. So I made these paper discs and tied them all into this network that you can see of string, which is hexagonal. And it was at Reed College in Portland when I lived there in probably 2008. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I think that's it. I'm just going to say if anybody asked a question, um,
Ask it again. Yeah,
yeah,
if we
because
didn't
there's
address it.
such a long chat that it's hard to catch them all. So I think I got all of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so just as a preface to making the card, I want to read this poem that I found on a website called Poetry Soup by Kitty Lou. And there's one reference about 99 years, which I think she wrote this about the eclipse in 2017. So I just want to note that in case anybody's like really accurate. So here it is, the solar eclipse. Across the sky, the sun could see the moon approach with nervous glee. A long time coming, an empirical fact, 99 years to be exact. The sun stood ready, her corona ablaze, moments away from a stellar phase. Not a crescent or harvest or even a full. She wondered about gravitational pull. Now almost upon her, the moon had a smile. Hello, old friend, it's been a while. I'm just passing through. His face was blotching. Let's make it quick. The world is watching. Halfway through his celestial arc, a slow approach as the sky went dark. He braced himself and pursed his lips, and just like that came the solar eclipse. So those of you who get to see it, you're so lucky. But the rest of us and all of us now can make a card that sort of mimics the solar eclipse. So here we go. Hopefully you all got the supply list. There is a link to that in the chat in case you didn't. You can just watch and see how this is done. And I have, yep.
Can you tell me the author's name of the poem author? And I'll type it into the chat. There's a
Yeah,
request.
it is Kitty, Kitty, Lou, Lou. And I found it on Poetry Soup, just in case she doesn't come up. If you search for her plus Poetry Soup, it will. Okay, so I asked you to bring two of a lot of things, and that is because cutting these circles is hard, and I want to just show you that you can make this just with the template. I'll say this a couple of times if it doesn't make sense. So you don't have to cut circle, you have to cut a circle in this outer card, but you don't have to cut the template, this template into circles. So that's just an option. And those of you who are really good at cutting, you'll have time to cut it all, and others might need a little more time. I want to just make sure we get through the project. So I'm just going to show you, let me show you on this one. So this is more like what I'm going to make. It opens, and then there's a little piece of the paper that folds over and holds the volvel in place. And this has the cutouts, which then you can shine a light, which I'll do at the end, to cast the shadow, mimicking the eclipse. And there's all kinds of grommets, eyelets, I mean, and I'll talk about those when I get to it, but this is a fun, the owl. And yeah, so yeah, we're gonna get to work. And I have we're gonna do this in a very, I have the steps written out for myself because it really works best if you do it in the right order. So grab your papers. So hopefully you have a template and another paper.
Helen, I want to interject here for a second.
Mhm.
Somebody just
Oh,
mentioned they couldn't see your hands. Make sure that you are on speaker view. That's in the upper right corner of the Zoom screen. There's a word view. Click on that. Make sure that you're checked on speaker view, and that will give you Helen's hands big.
yeah, I'm seeing my hands big, so
Yeah.
everybody else should be able to. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go through this and if you're well, so we're going to cut out the just the big circle around the volvel. And if you're fast, cut out both of them. And you can use scissors or a knife. I'm going to use scissors for this. And by the way, if you make this and take photos, I would love it if you would share on Instagram and tag me, Helen Hiebert. You can also tag the paper year. This will work if it isn't an exact precise circle. Mine certainly isn't perfect. Okay. So now, as I said before, you don't have to do any more cutting on this, but some of you are going to be faster than others. We're going to bounce around a little bit. You can come back and cut these out. I'm going to spend about 5 minutes now cutting. And so all of the black pieces get cut out. And it's just tricky to cut curves at this small scale. And this is, we don't do a lot of finicky cutting like this in the paper year, so I don't want to scare anyone off. Most of our projects are, yeah, just not cutting in this detailed fashion. Especially this piece right here is the solar eclipse, and that is the trickiest one to cut. So I would cut that last, just so that you have warmed up before you cut it. You need to be really careful cutting with an X-Acto knife, that you keep your left hand or your right, depending on what you are, your non-cutting hand out of the way. I've actually heard from, in my last weaving class, which requires cutting, a couple people bought gloves that are used for cooking that protect your non-dominant hand. I thought that was really cool, because I've definitely accidentally cut myself many times.
Helen, there's a
Yep.
question
Yes.
asking, so you only cut out the black parts on one disc?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you're super fast, leave the other one non-cut, because you can make a second volvel that isn't cut. And then if you decide you want to cut it later, you can, because you can take it apart and cut it.
But you're going to use one disc per card.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. Yeah, so you have enough if you followed my instructions for 2 cards, 2 separate cards. So this is the full moon. It gets cut completely. If you have questions, just type them in the chat. I talk about this quite a bit. If for some reason your knife, like you're having to go through several times to cut your paper, and we probably all have different paper, you might need to change your blade or sharpen it. You can actually sharpen these blades on a whetstone and use them for a long time. Okay, now I'm going to cut this. So when you get to this solar eclipse, just take a look and note that it's not two full circles. There is a little piece. I'm going to actually cut these straight lines. I'm cutting them a little bit longer so that I know when I put my knife on there, it's going to hit the line I've cut. So this is going to hold the piece in. It's designed in two separate pieces because if I cut the small hole and then the big one, the small one would just fall out. So this is the really important feature if you're trying to mimic the solar eclipse, is that it's going to shine a halo, which is what the eclipse looks like. That's what took me a minute to figure out how to do when designing this card. And actually, I had to figure out a lot of things. A volvel is a really old movable mechanism that is found in old books for all kinds of calendar. So words would be printed and the years and almanacs around, and then you could spin the volvel and find out like when the next eclipse would be or when the full moon would be. Farmers use them. Okay, I actually just ripped my little tiny piece. So now, if that happens to you, you might have to use some tape. I'm going to put the tape on after. Yeah, it's a little fiddly. I'm going to put clear tape, but I think that might block the light. So I'm going to have to trim the tape after I put it on there. So I'm going to try to get a really skinny piece of tape just so that circle doesn't fall out. I think this is good that this happened because it might happen to some of you and you might not feel like sharing that. But I make mistakes all the time. So there we go. It's a little wider, but it'll still give the eclipse effect. I have never taught this live, so I really don't know how long it's going to take. So I'm going to wait like 2 more minutes because it's 12:28 here. So I'm going to let you cut until 12:30, and then we're going to move on to the next step. But as I said, you can always come back and cut. So now I have the second one that is just the outer circle is cut. So if you're fast, again, you can do that. You can get 2 of these ready, one cut and one not. Jane says, clever design. Thank you. Oh, and I wanted to show, I had sandpaper on the supply list. Okay, it's 12:30, so I'm moving on. So this is just a little piece of fine sandpaper. And we're going to cut one more circle that we're going to use this for more, but I'm just thinking about it now. So let me, you can cut a strip and wrap it around your finger and perfect your circle by twisting. Now I know there's like fingernail supplies. Sally's is a supplier and they sell a few different sticks with sandpapery stuff on the ends, which would help you get into more areas. Right now, I'm only going to do the circle because, well, it doesn't really fit in the other shapes and my finger fits perfectly. And I really want that circle as perfect as possible because I'm going to trace it for my next circle. So I'm kind of, so again, I just cut it into a strip like a Band-Aid width and then wrapped it around my finger. And I'm trying to get rid of any black that I still see of my full moon. So that was just kind of something I thought of as I developed the project, and it works pretty well. Okay, so now whether you're done or not, I want you to move on with me because you can always come back and cut. And let me see where I'm at on my instructions. Okay, so now I'm going to take my second paper and I just need to trim it to size. This is a 5x7 card, which is an A7. It'll fit in an A7 envelope. And we want to cut this way to 7 inches. We're going to keep the 11 inches. So if you're metric, it, I guess it is important because we're going to go up a certain amount. So hopefully you can figure out what that is. I don't know if you have a ruler. I didn't think of that till just right now. I have a metric ruler. Okay. So we're going to cut it to 7. I'm going to do it, but let me just measure what 7 inches in metric is. 17.7. So I'm just gonna put this on here. Trim that. In my studio I would use a paper cutter. I do my Zooms from home because it's a little more reliable internet. I didn't cut that. Well, it's good enough. Okay. So, and the width, the other direction. If anybody's following along with metric, tell me. Because maybe I don't need to be doing this. 27.9 would be the other direction. So it's 27.9 by 17.7. And then we need to score and fold this in 2 spots. So we're gonna
Please repeat the width.
in
Inches.
11 inches. I didn't cut the width. This way 11 inches and this way 7.
Thank you.
Yep. Now we're gonna score at, so I have it at 0 over here. It's going to be 5 and 10 inches. Okay. So you see that down here. I'm going to score. And I'll measure that in metric in just a sec. Okay. Yeah, someone's here. Good. 5 and 10, which is 12.8 and 25.4.
Please repeat the centimeters.
12.8 centimeters and 25.4. And then I'm going to fold those. And it should fold up like this. So we have a little flap. This is where we're going to put the volvel. And then this is the back of the card where the light's going to shine. Okay. So now again, this is a little, take some precise measuring. And usually when I do a project like this in the paper year, I provide a template. But this is a free workshop and we're just doing it all together. So just give you another second. So now we're going to do some measuring and marking. So we want to mark a center line between these two. I'm going to switch to this ruler. So whether you're metric or US based, just find the center and we're going to make a vertical line. We're going to draw on this. This is a model. It will be the back of the card though. So I'm just making 2 tick marks at 2.5 inches. And I'm going to draw the line. Next, I'm going to go from the bottom. I'm going to measure, and I will give this in metric. It's 4 1/8 inches. I need to make a mark on that center line. And that is 10.5 centimeters.
Did you say 4 1/4 or 4 1/8?
4 1/8.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me make sure. Yep, 4 1/8. Check my sample here. Pretty good. Okay, now we're going to cut a circle here. So, and that circle is, you know, people that study the moon use lots of math. It's 5/8 in diameter. If you want to do any measuring, like it would be 5/16, you could put tick marks. But what I'm going to do is take my volvel that I cut out, and this is the one I just did, yeah. I'm going to place my circle over that, and I'm going to center it left to right, top to bottom. And this will just work more perfectly the more perfect you can do this, but I'm just eyeballing that it's centered. And I've drawn that circle, okay? Now, I haven't even explored this further. I think you could just draw a bigger circle and it would still function, but this just looks really neat because everything lines up exactly because all of these phases are matched up to that size. So now we're going to cut that. Yeah.
Somebody is asking to get the middle line measures again.
So it's in half this way. So just, I'm not going to tell you in metric, it's 2.5 inches. You draw a center line. So it's just measure between those right in the middle. And then this way it's 4 1/8 inches from the bottom. to that point. And centimeters is 10.5. Okay. Now I'm going to cut that out, that circle, as accurately as I can. We can use our sandpaper to perfect it afterwards. I turn when I'm cutting, especially circular, I tend to turn what I'm cutting so that it's ergonomically easier. I have been cutting for decades, so I don't know. If anybody's cutting for the first time, I know it's hard. So now I've got that circle. I'm going to take my sandpaper again. Just gonna perfect that hole a little bit. Okay, that's our window. Little snaggles. Okay. So hopefully we're good. Now what we need to do is take our volvel, whichever one you have, and we need to draw a line in the middle. So there's a little dot on the printed side. If for some reason you've cut yours and you can't even tell which is the front or the back, there's a dot in the center. And then if you just go from this straight line to this straight line, that right through the center, that's how you can draw that. So I'm going to do it here on this one. You need to do it on both or either. So I just want a line like that. And then trying to remember. Yeah. And then when
Helen?
we, yeah.
Somebody just noted that the hole is almost the exact size of a dime.
Okay, yeah. I almost said that. That you could use a diamond trace around it. So the thing about that is that it's harder to see. You can't see through the dime when you're placing it on there. So you would not have that center point versus, and I cut mine away so you don't see that anymore, but this is a little more accurate. You could, yeah, you could draw it with this and then fix it up with the dime. So yes, lots of things, and we share things like that in the paper year. People have lots of ideas that I don't even think of. Okay, so now we need to draw a perpendicular line. I'm hoping people have a cutting mat there that you can line this up on. So I need to just draw a line that is 90 degrees to that one that I just drew. So I have an X or a cross. Going through the center point. Mine's a hair off if anybody's looking. Okay, and I see actually deviated from my instructions, but I did the right thing. Yay. So we're gonna set that line with the full moon up, right on the line with the moons matching. Okay, and then we want to close this flap. It will be closed in there. But we need to cut a little thumb hole. So we're going to use that line we just drew as a guide. I'm just going to draw a line here. You could just mark the point, but just so you can see, I'm drawing a line. And now let me just show you where we're going. So we're going to cut this triangle here so that you can spin the volvelle easily. Now this could be any shape really. Just do the triangle now. I just figured that was the easiest one to show you. If you have a circle punch, you could punch it, but you have to figure out where, and there's a lot of little ways to deviate. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a mark.
Somebody
Yeah.
is asking what the last measurement was.
For what you need to specify.
That's what I'm not sure. Maybe when you put the cut Vovell on the,
Yeah, it wasn't a measurement. I put the full moon, I lined those up, and then I lined this line up that I drew on the volvelle, and then I folded this over and extended that line onto this flap. Okay. Now we want to make a little mark at, this is about an inch. Half inch and a half inch. So just a little more than a centimeter, a little more than a centimeter, make it the same. And then, so hopefully you can you see that?
Mhm.
I'm going to make it big. Okay. And then the same dimension going inwards. And then I'm going to draw it. If you're good, you don't have to draw it. We're going to cut out this triangle through 2 layers, which is going to give us a diamond. Okay, so that's where we're going. So I'm going to cut, this is very thick because I have cardstock, so I'm going to do 2 passes just to make sure I get through the layers. So I've got that. Okay, next thing is, once more, I could have done this before. We need to line this back up with the 2 moons overlapping, and we need to pierce through the center point. Okay, so I'm going to use an awl just to pierce that. Now, that hole needs to be approximately the diameter of your eyelet. No, your brad. Sorry, I've been using the wrong word. I get these all mixed up. This is a brad. I mentioned if you don't have brad, you could bring string. So I'm not going to demonstrate that because I don't have time, but you could just tie a knot, poke your string through, just use the thickness of the needle. You don't want that hole any bigger, but I need mine a little bigger for the dimension of the flat brad that has to spin in there. But it's going to move up and down if it's too big. So that's the point I'm trying to make. I've got a Japanese screw punch that has a hole that's just about the right size. So I am now going to, I already have the mark there. I'm gonna cut through both of these. Just gonna do them separately. Okay. And then I already had done this one. And so now I can put this together. Now, if you are really like into perfection, the phases of the moon actually spin, I believe, you would put your markings face up like I have it here. If you didn't cut out your holes, you have to go the other way. And then the reason I just said that was that you could also put this way, but then your phases of the moon won't be the way the real moon moves. Okay. And I might be wrong anyways, but I think I'm right. So I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put so I want my brad on the outside. There's a supplier in the chat actually of it's called eyelet.outlet.com. That's why I get confused with the words. But they sell brads in all different fun shapes. Like I have these little leaves, just colored round brads, colored flowers. They have hundreds, birds. So it's a really fun. Okay, so now my Volvel is on there. How far up, I have a question. The flap is the center line of the thumb hole. It is, that's not a measurement you should need, but to check, if you did everything accurately, it's 2 5/8 inches or 6.7 centimeters. So Evelyn says she's confused about having a brad and making a knot. So it's either or. Do you have a brad? Just do what I did. If you have to use string, then you're just going to take a needle, go through this hole and tie a knot on either side. You're going to try to tie it as tight as you can so you don't have any wiggle room because you don't want this to move up and down. And I even would cut a little circle or a shape like a star or flower of paper and glue it on top of the end of the knot just so it doesn't pull out. And this is how traditional volvels were made, with string in old books. Okay, I just realized my double-sided tape is completely empty. So the last thing we have to do is just tape. I have some more, yay. Tape this flap down. Now you do not want to tape anywhere where you're going to interfere with your volvel moving. So just look at what I'm going to do. The tape is clear, so it's a little hard to see, but I'm just going to put it up here towards the top and then a little bit at the bottom. I'm going to look at that and see. It's not going to come in and stick to my volvel because that would totally interfere with it being able to move. So it has to be, let me just mark this. Here's the end of my tape. It's cut, that's really close, but it's going to be okay. And here's the end. I'm going to just put a little more up here. You could glue stick. Again, just be careful you don't accidentally hit where your volvel is going to be. So now that is attached. And now I've got a 5x7 card. And I can spin I hit my Volvel a little bit with that tape. I can spin this. Now, yeah, it worked pretty well. So you can, I mean, I'm guessing some of you, this is going to vary a little bit. I made like, this is probably my 6th one. So it took me a while to get everything accurate. And I think you can see it, see that's, I have a little bit of my white showing. And then I'm using my phone to record this or to show you what I'm doing. So I can't, but I have a little, a light headlamp. So you can shine through the hole and you can see, I don't know that I can show you. See, can you see the shape of the moon? So you really can play with, it's got to be pretty close. This has to be closed almost to be able to see the shadow on the back, but you could play with this on the wall and you can go closer and further with your light, closer and further with your paper and play with it. And then, yeah, probably ideally you have 2 people. So you're doing something in community with your family and one spins it and the other one holds the light. And so, okay, so the eclipse, this is the eclipse. This is what will happen is that the moon is going to go in front of the sun and you'll only see that halo. So again, it's going to be hard for me to show you, but maybe you can see it on yours. So I see it on my card if I look from the side.
I'm wondering if you stand the card up.
Oh yeah, maybe you can see then. Well, yeah.
Oh.
Let me turn the light on. That would help.
Yeah.
It's faint. I see it, but it's faint. I can try turning the light off. There. See it? Ooh, where'd it go? There's
There.
the eclipse. I don't know how long it's going to last that you see it. It probably depends where you are. It's not very long. Julie says put the light on an easel. Yeah, I had, I can't remember how I did it because you have your light and you're spinning. So yeah, you just need something to help you. So whew, we got it done with 2 minutes to spare. Did anybody finish? Does anybody have something to show us?
If you use the reactions button and use the one that says raise hand, then, okay, Marguerite did.
So let's unspotlight me and spotlight a couple of people.
Huh?
Hey, Marguerite.
Hello.
Hey, good. Looks awesome. Yay. Wow, looks so accurate from here. Good job. Perfect.
Okay, and then Mary Elizabeth Nelson.
Oh, yeah. Look at you. And you got your circle. You cut a half circle for your thumb hole. Nice. Great work.
Okay.
Thanks.
Penny Thompson.
Hi, Penny.
Oh,
Oh, where'd
sorry.
you go?
Didn't give her enough of a heads up, I think. Penny went away. Okay. I'm going to remove that spotlight.
Oh,
Sorry.
Penny,
Sorry.
you're still up if you want to show us.
Let me.
Oh, look at the star. Go
Uh,
back to Penny real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Oh, I love your star. Nice work. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? You put your hand up. Raise hand on the reactions button. Okay.
Okay. Rachel is asking how soon the replay will be up. You want to do it right now. I'll try to get it up within an hour. I have to wait for Zoom to send it to me, but I'm just here, so I don't have to run off. So it should be up pretty soon. Betsy, this is interesting, said she went to an Eclipse site and type in your zip code. It'll tell you exact timing. Some people say they got it done, but it's too sloppy to share. That's totally understandable. My first versions were way too sloppy to share. So I hope you'll try it again. And I hope you'll share with your friends and share the recording with your friends. And yeah, thanks for coming. The Eyelet and Brad website, it's in the chat, eyeletoutlet.com. Lori just dropped it in there. I'll send it with the replay as well. You'll get all those links.
Oh, Beth
Thank-
has her hand raised.
Okay, Beth, you want to share? Hey, hi, Beth. Oh, you use string. Hold it up again. Hold it up higher. We can't see it. There we go. So you see the string, you just see the little knot there. Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. I
And
just, yeah.
Sharon, okay, there.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks for sharing. Hey, thanks everyone for coming. If you have any questions about the paper year, feel free to reach out to me. It's going to be, there's like a 12-day window of when it's open for registration. I'm happy to answer questions. Would love to have you join us. We do fun projects like this, but as I said, not usually as challenging because I'll provide a template. But I'm always encouraging people to go above and beyond. So, if you're good at a particular thing, you can challenge yourself and do variations. So thanks for coming, and see you around.